My name is Mary.
And I'm James.
Welcome to another episode of the Watch That John podcast, Spooky Season Edition.
Spooky season edition, right? Um, yeah, we're excited to kind of wrap up spooky season and drop this episode on Halloween.
Do you have any Halloween plans, or did you do anything for Halloween yet?
No, I didn't do anything for Halloween. My Eileen is out of town, so I don't have any real plans. I might go trick or treating with one of my coworkers and his kids. So
I'm going trick or treating also with my friends' children on Thursday too, and I went to a Halloween bar crawl, and it was a blast. So I've
that's
never
fun.
been trick or treating, so I'm going. I'm going
Yeah,
this week.
no, it's fun to like adopt other people's kids and then like just hang out with their family and just go back.
I want the candy. I'm going to be going to the doors with candy, and I'm going to have a little bag, and I expect to have chocolate and candy thrown into the bag. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
If I
yeah.
have to get on my knees like Martin, then I'm doing it.
I'm not going to give out candy. I think it's creepy. I think that like no one wants me giving out candy. I normally have Eileen pass out candy to the kids, so I'm absolutely gonna have all the lights off.
But it's perfect. It's Halloween. You're supposed to be creepy.
Yeah, I guess maybe I wear like I don't know.
So I know you don't want nobody calling the cops on your black ass.
No. Maybe I wear a white beater and a chain. We look like Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I mean? We looking all crazy with his hair.
You always look like that.
Let's get to this episode, y'all.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about today, Mary?
So we will be reviewing Don't Move. It's a movie on Netflix. And it's so funny. In my notes here, I literally have director and cast info listed as a header, but I have nothing underneath of it. So, but honestly, this is a pretty straightforward movie. I don't think we need to go really dive into the director's intention and like all of that jazz. So we're good.
Yeah, it's a simple thriller, right? And the reason why it popped off, it stood up to us is one, it's the most popular movie on Netflix right now.
It's more popular
Right?
than The Woman of the Hour.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
This was number
The
one.
Woman of the Hour, by the way, watch that. Very good. We may be reviewing that next.
Yes. That was the Woman of the Hour was the number 2 movie on Netflix right now. But Don't Move was number 1. Right? And Don't Move stars Kelsey Ash. What's her last name?
How do you spell it?
It's like Ashwire.
Ashwire.
Asheville is not her. She has like
She has a hyphen.
A fake name. Like her parents' both name is Cho, and
She has
she
a stage
changed
name.
it. She has a stage name. Yeah, she changed it because.
Well, you don't think she might have got married?
No, she changed it because she didn't want she didn't want to get typecast in only playing in like Asian style movies. But her name is
Is
Kelsey
she mixed though? Is she half white?
Asheville. Cassie Asheville. No, her mom is Cho and her dad is Cho.
Huh. She looks like she could be part white.
She does, and that's why.
Okay.
She like, yeah. No, I agree.
Because in a movie, I was like, she's definitely Asian, but maybe I shouldn't say that. I was like, she's definitely Asian, but she looks like white too. But
no, her dad is American and Taiwanese. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna do the same style we've been doing lately. We're just going to give a summary and give our commentary, and then we'll give an overview of how we feel about the movie at the end. You ready to start?
Let's go.
Okay. Iris lies awake in bed one early morning staring at a red toy boat. She grabs a small pocket knife before driving to the secluded yet gorgeous Massey Big Sur State Park. She hikes to a humble memorial filled with pictures of a young boy. That boy was her son, Mateo. So the first thing I noticed, so she hikes to her little makeshift memorial of her son, Mateo, who's adorable.
He is adorable.
The tree that she carves Mateo's initials into looks super fake.
That's what you noticed.
I don't know if it was
Moving,
like a
grieving,
different
you're
type
like,
of
oh,
wood
that
I've
fake
never
is
seen
tree.
before, but me and
That tree
DQ
is
are both
fake.
like, why that tree look fake as hell?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It was she left the house abruptly, right? She left her phone on the counter,
Oh, I didn't know
and
she
it was
left her phone.
obvious.
Yeah, if you leave your phone,
Yeah,
and you go to a secluded area, that's done. It's done.
Yeah, no, she was obviously wasn't trying to be found or contacted,
She's not
and you could
coming
tell
back.
that not coming back
Yeah.
exactly. And she was obviously broken, you know.
Yeah.
But uh it's interesting that this story is based in California. And the reason I know is because Big Sur, right? It's the Apple has a habit of naming its
Like it's
software
updates. Yeah,
upgrades,
yeah.
his software updates off of mountain ranges in the state, right? And that's why I knew that okay, Big Sur is in California because my Apple um uh software right now is
Mhm.
is Big Sur.
I know
So
exactly what you mean. That's the upgrade I'm on too. But one thing I
yeah,
feel about, so we know that her son died, but I'm just like, and we know how he died because why would the memorial be at the top of the cliff if he didn't die off the cliff? And I'm just like, why would you bring a child to a cliffside and not watch him like a hawk? Like I know
yeah,
they've
but
probably been there many
people
times, but still, you can't get too comfortable around cliffs.
no, it's not uncommon for people to hike with small children. I know I got some coworkers who
But you
do it.
watch them like a hawk. You
Yeah,
could not get too comfortable around cliffs.
no, you can't, and that's why she kind of blames herself in the midst of it, right? So Iris stands dangerously close to the edge of a cliff, building up the courage to jump when she is interrupted by a man. He empathizes with Iris, telling her that he lost his girlfriend in a car accident in the middle of an argument. Slowly, he convinces Iris to step away, and the two travel back down the mountain together. He tells her his name is Richard. So, what is your initial thoughts on Richard
That he
when
looks
he
like
when
if
he
Ed
shows up?
Helms and Leonardo DiCaprio had a baby.
Ed Helms from The Office.
Yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Tell me you don't see it.
Ugh, I would have to put all three faces together.
First I
But he
thought
did look oddly familiar, though.
first I thought, listen, from the nose up is Leonardo DiCaprio. His face
Yeah,
just isn't as fat as Leonardo DiCaprio's. First I
yeah.
thought Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, but I was like, his jaw isn't exactly like Brad Pitt's. And I was like, because Brad Pitt has a very chiseled ugh,
Hmm.
jaw. But no. He looks like Ed Helms and Leonardo DiCaprio to me. But I see this movie, I kind of knew what it was because I knew it was similar to Woman of the Hour. And I watched Woman of the Hour before I watched this movie. So I knew he was going to be on some nut stuff. Like, I
Yeah,
was like, he's going to be bugging. But a non biased kind of review of him, he seemed like a very nice, normal, approachable guy.
yeah, he did. And
And he's attractive. So that makes it easier to trust him.
yes, and as I was watching him, I was thinking, would I be able to convince someone to back off of a cliff? Or would I be overbearing and too positive
And force him over the hedge.
or and force them over the edge? Or would I be too rational and not believable? And I remember after his conversation with Iris and she backed away, I was like, wow. I looked at Eileen and said, wow, he did a really good job of convincing of changing her mind without actively changing her mind. Because at one point he says, "Hey, I'm not gonna change it," and walked away, and she follows him.
Because I think, she's tired of the positivity. She's tired of
Yeah,
saying, no, life is worth living. And it's like, for real, if I lost my child, life wouldn't be worth living for me either.
yeah. It's
My only
when
child.
she explained what happened, and when she explained that she wasn't watching him and he fell off the mountainside,
Yeah, they were,
I can see
so
how she's like, I'm
she,
over it.
yeah, yeah. She told him, he bet her, they were roasting marshmallows. And he was like, I bet I can find enough sticks for the marshmallows in under a minute. She bet him he couldn't. And then she said she didn't even hear him fall,
Wow.
you know? She just said, "I bet she can't," and she said it as, like, an afterthought. She wasn't really thinking, she was preoccupied with, like, gathering wildflowers, and like I said, you can tell they've been up there multiple times before.
Yeah,
So, it's
exactly.
just very, very unfortunate, and it's just it may be an extreme case, but it's like having a gun on you, you can never get too comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's true. Anything can happen.
Yeah. But she says, "The part that I hate most is that I haven't been able to cry," and I'm like, is that the worst part because you feel like you aren't properly mourning him, or is because you don't have that release? Because I thought the worst part would be the guilt that she's feeling, but maybe that's one and the same, but she's not being so literal.
She probably feels more guilt because she cannot cry.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Okay.
she probably feels like
That's what I thought, yeah.
what kind of mother won't cry at the death of her child?
Mm.
So she probably feels even more guilty about that. But her stoic personality, she also Kelsey also plays in Yellowstone. Have you seen Yellowstone?
I've heard about it. People say it's good. What is it, on Apple TV?
Yellowstone is not on Apple TV. It's like a local show. I
On
forget what show
FX?
it's on. Maybe FX. I don't remember. But anyway, Yellowstone is a
Seems like a Gold Rush
cowboy.
type TV show.
Well, there's different versions of Yellowstone, but a quick synopsis of it. It's about a cattle ranch in Montana, and she plays a native woman who is married to the son of one of the largest cattle ranch owners in Montana. And the plot is basically centered that everyone wants to take away. Did I break up?
No.
Okay, so the plot is that everyone wants to take away John Dutton's ranch, right? And she is married to John Dutton's son. And her face in the movie, like her personality in the show, is she's stoic, she's calm, she's not super emotional, even though some very traumatic things happen to her, and she's a fighter. And I think those traits of what
Have
made
you
it
seen the show?
made. Yeah. I love it. I love
Okay.
Yellowstone. It's fire.
Okay.
No, it's definitely fire, and I think I appreciate it a little more coming to Oklahoma. So I kind of understand. It helps me understand the cowboy lifestyle a little bit, where people want to be in Oklahoma. But
You ready to move on?
but yeah,
You ready to move on?
yeah, let's go.
Okay. Iris and Richard return to their cars. Richard's car is parked so close to Iris's that she can't open the driver door wide enough to get in. Richard comes around to the rear of Iris's car, trapping her in before he tases her with a taser disguised as an umbrella.
Yeah, when they walked down the hill, and I noticed how close the two cars were parked. I'm like, what a hole parked close to them?
And
And I
she didn't tell him
originally,
to move, just being too nice. She didn't tell him, hey,
yeah,
pull out.
exactly, right. And I originally thought that was someone else's car. I'm thinking, because in my mind, there's no way that Richard would have parked so close to her and blocked her off when there's literally no one else in the parking lot. I feel like people do that to me at work all the time.
Yeah.
Just like block you in. And there's a few times I have to climb in through the passenger seat
Yeah.
to get into my car. And I'm no small man. So that is no easy task.
Yeah.
Uh, so,
I'm just wondering where he got that umbrella taser for. Like, does he know Bruce Wayne?
yeah, no, that's crazy. That is
Did he
not.
go to the 007 headquarters?
That's not something you can buy off the shelf.
You can't buy that
You
off
can't
Amazon.
you can't go to Amazon and be like Stunbrella. Like it doesn't it doesn't
Stunbrella is
work. It
crazy.
doesn't even make any sense because like you go to rain with electricity. It's like
She did ask him when she saw that umbrella. She was like, "Are you expecting rain?" But she said Richard, and he was like, at one point he was like, "Why do you keep calling me that?" And I know it was supposed to be scary, where it's like, oh, like his question tells us that this man lied, and he's not the man
yeah,
that we thought he was. But I
yep.
just laughed, and I'm just kind of like, I'm calling you Richard because nigga, that's what you told me to call you.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, this movie, I feel like if I hadn't known what it was about, if I went into the movie blind, and if I hadn't watched Woman of the Hour, I think it would have had a lot more effect on me.
Yeah, no, we were gonna watch the trailer and Eileen was like, no, don't, because
Mm.
it's gonna ruin it. So we knew nothing.
Yeah, I watched the
And
trailer after I watched the movie, and they give a lot away.
yeah, no, we didn't watch anything.
Yeah.
So
And I like
you're
how
right.
after the scene, the credits start and the music, really got dramatic. I think it was a really good way. I think it was a very good prologue. If I was reading a book, that was a very good prologue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was, like you said, it was quick, catching, got our attention, and then now we're in the thick of things. She
Yeah,
is
the mood
unconscious.
changed very quickly.
Yes.
But I like that.
I,
It wasn't, like, out of place. It was like, "No, this is supposed to be abrupt. It's supposed to be jarring because that's how it is when you find out, 'Oh, wait, this man's gonna kill me.'" Really quickly oh, did you wanna say something else?
mm-mm.
I was talking to, DQ, and I was like, people have, like, I think, like, a normalcy bias. We assume that the people that we meet, they're not out to harm us.
Yeah, it's Malcolm Gladwell and his book, I think How to Talk with Strangers or Talking with Strangers. He calls it default to truth.
Default to truth. I remember you spoke about that, yeah.
Yes, where we have a default to believe people, to trust people, to see the most obvious thing and not jump to crazy conclusions. And 95% of the time, that's how we operate in the world.
Because
You
most
know,
of the
we don't,
times doing that, you're still alive, you're still unharmed.
yes,
So that
you're
small
still unharmed.
percentage where you really are like, "Wait, out of all the people in the world that I came in contact with, whether I'm walking to my car in the dark garage and there's one other person there, or I'm taking a jog through a park early in the morning and no one else is there. Out of all the people who I had encounters with, none of them harmed me, but you did."
Yeah.
It's kinda crazy to think about. You know what I mean? It's kinda crazy to think about it. Like, you
No,
have
it
ill
is.
intent towards me, and you are willing to act on it.
But that's what make these people so dangerous, right?
Yeah,
Is they know
they're rare.
that people tend to have their guard down,
Yeah,
right? Especially when people are hiking and like doing
and
exercise, you know
especially
what I
when you
mean? Or
empathize with someone who's going
yes.
through, who lost someone, and you make up this whole elaborate lie so she can let her guard down. And it's just
Yeah.
sick to me that at one point, he was about to leave the park. Like, he was about to leave her alone completely, but he wanted to feel like, I don't know, like she made the decision to follow him.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Iris loses consciousness as Richard binds her hand and feet with zip ties. He places her in the back seat of the car. She eventually wakes up in a panic, but then remembers the pocket knife that she grabbed earlier. She wiggles it from her pocket and uses it to cut the ties around her hands. Once her hands are free, she lunges toward Richard, attempting to stab him. She fails, and Richard loses control of the car, crashing into a tree. Disoriented, the two struggle. Iris manages to escape, and Richard follows. She holds him at bay with her knife as Richard reveals to her that he has drugged her and she will lose all motor skills within 20 minutes. She won't even be able to speak.
Yeah. So what remember so Richard said something. He said, because he sees Iris trying to alert the authorities or maybe her husband with her Apple Watch. And he
Mm-hmm.
says there's no red dot, which means no cellular, and that means no emergency SOS. And I'm like, you remember in Leave the World Behind, Mahershala Ali's character had a satellite phone?
A satellite phone, yep.
I need me one of them.
Yes, satellite phones are clutch. And you know, the new Apple updates, they have a satellite feature that you can just point the phone through the phone towards the sky and you can get service.
Don't
But
trust it. I don't want my life to be hanging on this to be in the hands of a Wi-Fi connection.
no, you're right. You're right.
So Imma get one. Imma get
Yeah.
one.
Also, carry weapons. That knife saved her life. It didn't allow her to get free 100%, but it gave her a fighting
It
chance,
definitely did, cause she
you
went
know.
off with that seatbelt.
She did. She was choking him out with the seatbelt.
Yeah.
She was a fighter. She refused to
And she
die.
I mean, she wanted to die, but now it's like, "I'm not dying by your terms." And I did get excited when I see her be able to fight back like that, like, she's fighting tooth and nail for her life, and, like, I don't know, I did like that, cause sometimes in movies like this, it feels like they're not fighting hard enough, but this one scene, it's like, okay, she did choke him out. She was very creative, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she
She was
was.
very
She
creative.
went on the attack.
Yeah,
That's the thing,
yeah,
right? Because a lot of people, like you said, try to stab him and then jump out the car and roll away and try to run away.
yeah.
She grabbed the seatbelt and was going to take that dude out.
Yeah, yeah, cause my thing is, That's what you have to do. Like, whenever you speak to,
Yes.
like, for example, mass shooter experts, they say in order to survive a mass shooting, you have to do, I think it's 3 things. You either have to run, get away from them, remove yourself from them to a place that's safe. You either have to hide so they cannot
Yep.
find you, or you have to fight. And if you choose to fight, your aggression needs to be greater than your assailants.
Yes.
And she understood that. Other people in the movie don't at times, and I'm gonna get into that later, but she understood that.
No, you're right.
But one thing, what did he drug her with? Quaaludes? He just calls it a special relaxant. And I'm like, what is that?
I don't know. He probably hit her with like horse tranquilizer or something. Like this
Mm.
dude is
Because remember the Wolf
is
on Wall
crazy.
Street where they took Quaaludes?
I do remember Quaaludes.
That's hilarious.
Steve Madden. When when yeah. That movie was
That
insane.
movie's
Wolf on Wall
great.
Street
It was great.
is great. And Quaaludes was a medicine they used to use to for insomnia.
Oh,
And if you resist the urge to falling asleep, you get super, super, super high. And there was one scene
there's
where
probably a little bit out of NyQuil still. Because
I
DQ
don't
says
know.
that. He said if he doesn't sleep off his NyQuil, he feels high.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. But Leonardo DiCaprio's character one time, he took a bunch of Quaaludes and then he drove home and they showed that he barely got home with some scratches. And then the cops came up to his house and his car was like totaled. Crazy. So yeah, I don't think that Richard used liquid quaaludes to stab Irish. I think most likely he used some
Tranquilizers
type
make
of
sense.
horse tranquilizer that incapacitated her. And she was when he said that, I just felt just dread.
Yeah.
It was just like, dag, she has no hope. This dude's a pro. He
Yeah.
obviously is a serial killer. This is what he does. He made one reference as in you need safe nets when you're flying 40,000 feet in the air, right? You need secondary, what do you call it? Secondary responses or secondary failure modes.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what he called it, but and that's what his secondary um, uh,
His plan
protection
B
or
was.
whatever. His plan B. His plan B was like, hey, I'm gonna tie you up. Plan B, and the biggest mistake proof was you can be so drugged you can't do anything. And I think the
See, I
sickest part of it all is when he was like, "You look like my girlfriend. When I get you back, I'm gonna braid your hair." Just
very creepy.
disgusting.
Cause my
Very
thing is,
creepy.
yeah, I thought he drugged them because he's a sicko and he wants them to be aware of all the horrible things he's doing to them. He wants them to be conscious for it so they can see it, but not be able to
Yes.
do anything about it.
Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what he wants.
Iron, Iris runs off the main road into the woods, quickly losing mobility, her vision becoming increasingly blurry. Richard isn't far behind. Eventually, Iris stumbles into the river and floats downstream away from Richard. Though she can hardly move, she doesn't drown in the treacherous waters and pulls herself to shore. She is completely immobile now and lies in the grass until she's found by an older man mowing his grass. His name is William. So, really quickly, um, once Richard and Iris are out the car and Iris is like holding him off with her knife, like holding me at bay with a knife.
Yeah.
Uh he says to her that you have 20 minutes before this kicks in. And 5 minutes after he says that, she sets her watch for 20 minutes. And I'm like, but Richard told her that like 5 minutes ago. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
uh, The time didn't make sense.
No, it really didn't.
It could have been just a few seconds between that. I don't know.
They had a long conversation. I don't know. And then she ran, she didn't set the timer until she was pretty deep in the woods. So I'm like, it
She
probably
did.
was more like 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no. You're right. And also 20 minutes is also an estimate, so that's fine. I think it was very smart that she found the river. Right. I think
I
because
don't
she understood that a stiff body floats.
does
One,
it?
Yeah,
I
it
thought a
does.
body with some body fat floats. I'm like, she has no body fat. How is she floating?
No, like that's why if people throw bodies in the river after they kill them, they put rocks on them because the bodies float. Your body is less dense than water.
Yeah, but okay, stiff bodies float. I guess, yeah, I guess if I try, I float by trying to stay as still as I can.
Yes, and she can't move, so she was still as ever.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. I was like, how? I was like, I don't understand. But one thing that happened in the movie. So at one point, Iris hides like in like the uprooted roots of a tree,
Yes,
and
yes, she
ants are
does.
crawling on her face and her body. One crawls up her nose, and she yells, alerting Richard to her location. And I'm like, if someone is trying to murder me, I'm not worried about an ant. Ants can literally crawl up my ass. I am not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. They're
I think
ants.
there are more than ants. I think there were either fire ants or something, and they could have easily consumed her. She was in legit danger under that tree.
I don't care. It is not more dangerous than a man trying to kill me in the woods. I'm gonna deal with these ants when this man is well out of the way. I do not care.
But she also understands that she will eventually lose her mobility. So if she stayed under that tree any longer, when the ants crawls up in her nose and
It's worth
gags
it.
her,
It's
they're
worth it.
gonna, but they're gonna eventually like kill her.
Listen, you
So
say they fire ants. Ain't fire ants red?
I don't know, but they were some ants. Like they were all over her, and I don't think most people, especially probably most women, wouldn't just be.
No, I
I
wouldn't.
get it.
Because there's a man there trying to kill me. I would not. The last thing,
Yeah,
I don't think my mind would even register the ants because there is a man trying to kill me. But that's just me. I thought that was crazy. I was like, girl, shut up. It's ants. But
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. When I saw it, I'm like, "Dag, that sucks." She had happened to hide there.
you know, I hate rats. If it was a rat, me and my rat is cool. You could do whatever you want. You could sit on my face, rat. I'm not saying a word. I do
Yeah,
not care.
yeah.
But I guess she's like, "Oh, these are fire ants and I'm about to lose." If that's a stretch, that's you. If these are like actually harmful ants and I can't move, I need to get them off now. For me, it's like I don't care. The immediate danger is this man. It's like that. It's like you ever hear people having this debate if you want to be alone with a man or a bear in the woods, and all the women say a bear without a second thought.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's true. You can outsmart a bear.
yeah.
A bear would get tired of you.
But one thing that was so funny to me when I don't understand either because I'm like, she was so stiff. Did she make herself stiff? Because I'm like, how did she pull herself out of the river? Like she wrapped her arms around like a tree that fell in that fall and was partially into the water. And she wrapped her arms around the tree and hoisted herself up. And I'm like, but you couldn't even move when you were floating down the river. Were you intentionally being stiff?
They try to explain that
I don't know the rules
later
of the
on in the
drug.
movie. Later on in the movie, she made a another move that we'll get into
Yeah, he
later,
said that
and
it's
he
when your mobility starts to come back, it's very sporadic, it's not
you get
consistent.
a burst of energy. So
Yeah. But one thing I
most
thought
likely
yeah,
she had that burst of energy to just to get her moving.
yeah. But one thing I thought that was funny, yeah, when she pulled herself onto the riverbank and she's there, and she's completely immobile at this point, and we see the lawnmower kinda like getting closer and closer.
I know what you're about to say.
I was really scared. I was like, "Oh, snaps." Until the camera zoomed out to a wide shot and you see how damn like short that grass was and she's clearly visible. She's not hidden at
Exactly.
all.
She's clearly visible. Like he wasn't on a if he was on a tractor,
Yeah.
it would be more believable. But this dude is not even on a like a zero turn mower. He's on he's on a regular
And
mower
the grass is like
that
2 inches high. What?
yeah, he easily saw her and I was like, "Oh."
That was hilarious. I'm like, y'all just shattered the perception for us. Like y'all just shattered that.
Yeah.
But I hate it. Oh my god. Like I hated the effects they used to show Iris's distorted vision. Like when she was landing in the grass, they like showed her what her vision was looking like, and like the grass was moving, and I was like, this looked like an iMovie preset effect. Like it did not look good to me.
That's funny. That's funny.
But what do you think about Will? She said something that literally had me screaming when Will came, the old man.
She didn't say anything. What do you mean?
She didn't say, she did something. So when he asks her, they established that I think 2 blinks mean no, 1 blink means yes.
Yes.
He asked her, "Are you hurt?" She blinks twice for no.
I thought she blinked once for yes.
She said no,
She
she was not hurt.
she said no, she wasn't hurt.
And
I guess technically she
she
wasn't, but
wasn't, but
she
have you no
is.
sense of urgency? My
Yeah,
thing
that's
is, if
true.
you tell him that you are hurt, he will act more urgently and maybe try to drive you to a hospital.
Yeah, you're right. Instead of putting you in a wheelbarrow and
And my
what
thing
was his
is, you literally
plan?
saw the blood pooled on her temple.
So I guess let's go back.
She
Let's take
went
a
down
step
a
back.
river. I know she got banged up in the rapids. She was in a
Yeah,
car
so
crash.
William, right? He is an older man who lives out in the woods by himself. And he finds this beautiful woman unconscious.
Beautiful. Mm.
And he basically takes her to shelter, realizes that she's trying to flee from someone, and he doesn't bring out a gun. That's
Um,
what I was wondering. Like, this
she
man don't
doesn't
have a
eventually.
gun.
He doesn't know she's trying to flee from someone. He puts.
How else is she? She thought that he thought that she was in the kayak, that she was on a kayak, um, like she fell out of a kayak or
He
something
had a
like that.
suspicion. That's why he hit her later on.
Yeah,
But I don't think he was sure.
yeah. So Will wheelbarrows Iris into his home. Richard bangs on his door before he can even call 911. He hides Iris behind his couch before answering the door. Richard tells Will that he was in a car crash and couldn't find his wife. Against Will's command, Richard enters the house and he continues to lie, pretending to be confused and concerned for his wife. Eventually, Will catches on and calls 911. The two fight, but Richard manages to get the best of Will and he stabs him repeatedly to death.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I think Will also had a default to truth, right? Because when he saw Iris unconscious, Richard made up a lie that that when his wife
Richard didn't see
feels
Iris unconscious.
I know, but he made up a lie. He said when his wife is emotional or doesn't want to respond to him, she breaks down and act like she doesn't can't even move.
She goes catatonic.
Yes. And he said that to justify why she can't move and that she's just acting like she can't move because something's wrong with her. And that was almost enough to convince Will because Will said, I haven't been straight up with you until Richard's phone rings and he realized that Richard lied to him about he losing the phone in the crash.
Yeah, because it's like this is all the confirmation Will needs not to trust him. Understandably so, because why would you lie about that if you're not up to something diabolical? Like if you were in
Exactly.
real trouble, really looking for your wife, you have the means to call for help at your fingertips.
Exactly.
So,
You
but
do
no,
not you do
he
not
was
need to be
skeptical
hurt.
though. He was skeptical. He was skeptical. I think he did had a what's the term you use?
Default the
A
truth.
default the truth like everyone else, but I don't think it was as strong as everyone else, because before he answered the door, he hit Iris. Yes, he hit Iris in a really stupid location. Like you hit her behind the couch and Richard literally sat on the couch. Like if he would have dropped something, he would have found her. I was like, that's really dumb. You couldn't have taken her
It-
upstairs.
Upstairs or to a different room or
For me, I
something
wouldn't have
or
answered the door at all. I wouldn't, and if
I
I would have
wouldn't answer the
answered the
door
door, I
either.
would have answered it with a weapon. But I do
Yes.
give him kudos for actually hiding her. But for
Yeah.
me, it's like if I found a woman who's completely immobile, cannot speak, I'm not talking to anyone besides the police.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so And yeah, like I said, he's not buying his story until Richard gave him a sob story. Like Richard really, I think he tried so long to be a good person that he knows how to speak like a good person and say all the mushy mumble jumble that you want to hear, even though it has no substance. And a lot of sociopaths know how to do that. They know how to pretend like they actually experience empathy and care about you. They're really good at it. That's how they function in society. But it's bull crap. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. No, he's a master manipulator.
a master manipulator and a liar too. But don't tell no truth about love about me, and I will tell
I
no
don't
truth
tell no
about you.
truth about you.
But yeah, one thing that did kind of got me scared was
Oh.
when because Will told Richard to stay outside, but you see Richard right behind him in his own house,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my
I
god,
I thought that he was gonna instantly kill Richard,
me
and
too.
then I realized when they were fighting that I thought Richard was gonna instantly kill Will. I realized when they were fighting that Richard's a punk. He never fought a man before,
He said he
probably.
never kills a man. Yeah, he never did.
He said he never killed a man, right? Because his prey, his victims that he look after, he hunts is women,
Probably
the
vulnerable
weak.
woman, and that's what a lot of serial killers do. They find people in a vulnerable stage because they're isolated, you know what I mean? It's easy, and that's what's sick about it too. When I think about child
Yeah.
molesters, children are easy. Children are the most
Hmm.
vulnerable. The elderly, the most vulnerable. Women who are grieving, women who are lonely, women who are depressed. It's so easy. And it's
It's
like
so
these people
easy.
are already going through so much, and a sicko like you comes to make their life even worse than it already is.
No, it's terrible.
Get a life. Get a
It's
hobby.
terrible.
That is your
Well,
hobby.
he has a hobby. Yeah.
That is your but, yeah, yeah, it's obvious, and it's obvious too that Will is the better fighter. Will was kicking his ass.
He was.
But one thing that was just so so when when Richard realizes that the gig is up, uh, Will pushes Richard powerfully against the bookshelf, and the entire thing falls on top of Richard. But then instead of finishing the job, Will picks up his phone to call 911. And it's like, I know he became a less reactive person after his wife passed because that was her desire when she was alive. But Richard has literally tried to kill you. Self defense isn't good enough. You should have went in for the kill. And then
What was he killing with? He had no weapons. He's twice the man's age.
he could have
You
grabbed
know,
anything. Richard found a knife in his own house. I don't know. He could
he
have tried
found
to,
it.
like, he pushed him against. My thing wouldn't be to call 911 to walk away. I would have kept kicking that man. I don't
Yeah.
know. I would have kept fighting. I would have beat him to a pulp till he was unconscious, then called 911
No,
or
you're
grabbed
right.
some sort of weapon. But you could
You're
tell
right.
he was actively trying not to kill him. He was trying to fight fair. But I'm like, you're going to lose fighting fair with someone who does not fight fair.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're right. You're
when
right.
they were
Because
fighting, Richard like grabbed a whole lamp to hit him with. Cause
yeah,
he's a punk. He can't fight, like you said. Will, he fought with his fists and only his fists the whole time, and he was winning.
yeah,
But yeah, and it's like this is one thing. I was like, what? So once again, Richard is losing. He's on the ground, and Will's hesitating. He's like, I don't know what to do with you. And then Will starts playing mind games. No, Richard starts playing mind games. I'm getting confused. And Richard's like, what would she make of you, Bill? Your wife. Taming you, teaching you to control your anger. This is what Richard says to Will. And it gets to Will. And I'm like, nigga, who cares? You're letting a kidnapper and a murderer guilt trip you out of self defense?
yeah. But he doesn't know that.
He
He
knows.
just
My thing is, you are trying to take my life.
yeah,
You are trying to kill me in my own home because you want this woman who is completely paralyzed.
yeah,
Something ain't right. You can't guilt. You don't even know my freaking wife.
yeah,
Oh, would your wife approve of this? Nigga, you're trying to kill me.
yeah.
What? That's not, what? I'm going to take moral advice from a killer, for someone who's trying to kill me in my own home. Like, he knows something is very wrong with this man. He didn't even know your wife. So I'm like, what? But that
So
was
you didn't
stupid
think
to
it.
me.
You didn't think it was believable. You
It was
thought.
stupid. It was a stupid reason. I understand if you were fighting a friend, if you got into an argument with your brother, a nigga who's
Yeah,
in your home trying to kill you, You're gonna let him guilt trip you out of self-defending yourself against him killing you and potentially killing this completely helpless woman? And he doesn't even know your wife. He only knows what you told him about your wife. He doesn't know your wife. He
Yeah.
only knows because of the few sentences you said about your wife. You're gonna let him get into your head. I thought that was
I,
really stupid.
I think I chalked it up in the instant. I agree with you. I think I chalked it up in the moment as Richard being a master
He
manipulator,
is a master
and
manipulator. He is.
can find
He
things
can
to
find your
tell
soft spot.
people.
He knows your
Yes,
buttons.
and obviously Will was a little unstable, and he's older, and his wife passed. So him mentioning his wife, and even him thinking about it for a second, because it wasn't like a 5 minute thing. It was just only a second, and that second distracted him enough for him to stab him
But he was
in the
already
ankle.
kind of holding back because of his wife. And it's like, I get that, but I feel like in that situation, your wife would be like, kill this man. He's
No,
literally
you're
trying to
right.
kill you and this defenseless woman.
You're right, and that's logic. That's logical. All right, that's logic talking. But in these instances, it's fight or flight. You don't really know how you're going to react,
That's
and
not my fight or flight reaction. My fight or flight reaction is to beat you till you can't walk.
yeah, yeah, no, to take you out, and you have to take people out. You do.
But you did like that scene. You thought it was believable.
I
I get what you're saying. It's just for me, I was like, what?
Yeah, I thought that it was sad because I didn't think Will deserved to die
Now,
like
I
that.
was sad when Will died. I was really sad.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, he was not a punk.
And like I said, I thought it was less I thought the more unbelievable part was that this man didn't have a gun. That's what I thought was more like a white man in the woods. Of course he has guns. He has many guns.
Yeah,
He lives by
definitely.
guns.
Every
That's what I
type
was
of
surprised
gun.
about. Like, where's your
Pistol,
gun,
sawed-off
bro?
shotgun, AK-47.
Yeah, just
All of that.
like I wouldn't be surprised he pulled out a grenade. Like
He got a bomb shelter.
he got a bomb. Like
He has tanks.
yes, that's what
He's
I
ready
would
for Helter
expect. But
Skelter.
and you don't know, if you're by yourself, you have to be ready because people could just pop up on you at any point.
And one last thing before I move on. DQ pointed out like the piss poor camera work in this scene. Like in the scenes Will is sitting where Richard is sitting on Will's couch and lying to his face, the camera keeps losing focus on Richard,
Mm.
and you can literally see the manual lenses being adjusted. I think you pointed out, and I was like, oh no, that's really bad. It's literally like me shooting, and you see me adjusting the lens, so it's like zooming in and out and focusing, not in an artistic way, but in like, oh no, the focus is off.
Oh wow,
It
I didn't
yeah,
notice that.
it was bad. Maybe I should put a timestamp somewhere, but I was like, and DQ was like, Netflix movies always do that, and I was like, I never noticed, and then it was like, oh my
Wow,
god, that's really bad.
it's like, hey, we don't got time to edit that. Just keep going.
We'll do it in post. We'll do it in post,
We do it in
but
post,
they
and you
don't.
forget about it.
But Richard douses the home in gasoline and sets it aflame while Iris is still hidden behind the couch. She's slowly regaining her mobility. Richard is ready to steal Will's car, but before pulling off, he notices the blinds opening and closing, Iris signaling to him that she is still inside. Richard goes back into the burning home and takes Iris, and they drive off, leaving Will's body to burn. During the drive, Richard's daughter calls Richard and tells him that her and her mom are coming to his cabin in the woods where he intends to torture and kill Iris. Okay.
As Richard and Iris pulls off, he looks at the fires, the flame as it engulfs Will's home, and looks at Iris and says, "You made me do this.
Mm-hmm.
You caused this because you ran away."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Nigga, what?"
That's
Like
classic abuser rhetoric, though.
mentality,
Look what
right?
you made
It's
me did.
look what you made me do.
Mhm.
Like, no, that was 100% you.
Because if you
And
didn't do it, then it wouldn't have happened.
and what I don't understand is why was he so desperate to get her back, especially when he realized that she was in this man's house
Exactly.
because she couldn't ID him. She didn't know who she could ID him, but she didn't know who he was,
My
where he
thing is,
lived
he could
at.
have found a way to blame the whole thing on Will and just let her burn.
Yeah. It just or not even. I'm saying before that, he could have. Oh, okay. You're saying when he set the flame on
He went back into a burning building to get her.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Like, apex
You're right.
predators don't try this hard. Like, a lion chasing a gazelle will give up if it
Yeah.
seems like too much work. A bear won't continue to pursue you if you wield fire or if you get somewhere where it's hard to reach you. But Richard,
Richard. Yeah.
world's most dedicated serial killer.
World most deadliest animals. It's
Human,
humans.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So when Richard's family calls, I'm like, this nigga trying to be normal. He's like, hey, let's go celebrate your report card, talking to his daughter. And she's like, yeah, mom wants to come up to the cabin. And he's like, what?
Mhm.
He's like, don't come up to the cabin. I need my peace.
Mhm.
And she's like, essentially, you need to get over your bachelor weekend. We don't see you. You've been coming out here more often and more often. We're coming up. And I think they did that. I think that scene existed for two reasons. One is to show that this dude doesn't have to be a serial killer. He chooses to be,
Well,
right?
everyone chooses to be.
I
No one
know.
has to
I don't
be.
mean as has to. I mean, he's not just, I don't know, some sort of like dark creature who only preys on people and like as a is that's all his life
Yeah, he
is.
can hold it
He
in.
has a
It's
he
not
has
so
yes.
yeah.
He has an alter ego, like an alternative life that he's raising a daughter and living with and living with a wife. So he's used to being around women, but he still treats and objectifies and rapes and murders women frequently. The wife even mentioned that, hey, you've been coming up here more and more,
Mhm.
so he's been killing more and more. His bloodlust is getting greater and greater.
Yeah, my thing is, like, I've heard of many men who live double lives and do terrible things to women where when they themselves have families. So that didn't surprise me too much. Like I said,
Yeah.
a lot of podcasts, like full on serial killers who have children and like a family and no one suspects a thing. So
Wow.
that wasn't too crazy to me.
It's just crazy how people can disassociate. I remember we said that a lot during our Joker episode. But basically, like,
Compartmentalize.
compartmentalize, like, separate their evil side from the perceived normal side and not get those worlds twisted, you know?
And, like, the family mentioning that they're coming up to the cabin, that just puts Iris in more immediate danger because he was gonna take his time. Now it's like he's gonna kill you a lot more quicker now.
Yeah, he was.
So
He was. So Richard pulls up to a gas station, leaving Iris in the car while he goes inside the mini mart. A child and mother see Iris and notices that something isn't right with her. Richard then drives back to the scene of the car crash and grabs more zip ties and a syringe full of the drugs used to sedate Iris earlier. As he pulls to tow his vehicle away using Will's truck, a policeman approaches. He was tipped off by the mother at the gas station. Richard repeatedly lies to the cop, but after hearing Iris whisper, "Help me," he's on high alert. Iris motions to the drugs and ties covered by a shirt on the dashboard with her eyes. The cop removed the shirt and then seized them, but before he could pull out his gun to halt Richard, Richard hits him hard in the face with the hook of the towing belt, horrifically disfiguring the policeman's face. He then continues to beat him until he dies. So I have so many thoughts about this sequence of events. My first thought was, Richard, you got gas in your car. Like he had gas, and he pulls out the gas jug later in his truck. He could have
he had
just
his
put.
gas in his car and Will's car
He had gas in the. I thought he had gas
because he
in
ran out
Will's
of gas
car.
in Will's car. I'm not sure what the situation was in his little Prius looking car.
Yeah, maybe he got gas. I don't know. I thought he already had gas. He set the house on fire using
Yeah,
gas.
but there was
So
a scene where they were driving and the gas tank was getting very
yeah,
low.
but I thought he had a gas container in his truck.
Oh.
I thought he had that red gas container in the
Maybe
back
he
of his
did
truck.
use it all in the home. Who knows? Yeah,
Because
yeah.
no, later on he uses gas again, and I was like, why did you go? It just didn't make any sense,
Maybe he
right? It
used it
didn't make any
all in the
sense
house. I don't know.
to take that risk because with Iris
The risk of what?
of someone of her just that her getting she couldn't leave, but someone noticing that something's not right.
Oh, to go to the gas station because he's arrogant.
Yeah,
He's very arrogant. But
he
yeah, I don't
is.
know because he definitely did use gasoline to set Will's house on fire. So maybe he used all of it. Maybe that was Will's gas that he used, and
I
he
don't know.
he made a lot of mistakes because he's too busy. He did, I don't think he ever had a situation that went this far left. So
Yes,
he's improvising and he's making
yes,
mistakes along the way.
yes, he is. And then the second thing that confused me is this is an example of so much white privilege. So this cop is a black cop. He pulls up
He's in
to the
so many
scene.
things, the actor, but I can't name any of them, but I see him so often.
Yeah, he looks like, yeah, no, I agree. His face is familiar. So he pulls up and he already knows, he should have known that one, that car is not registered to this man. Two, there's a car accident. Three, he got a
Yeah, cuz
report.
doesn't don't police
They
don't
run your tags.
yeah, and they the tags tell you if the car's been stolen. But I guess it hasn't been yeah, he could see it's registered to someone else cuz he did ask him whose car is this? Yeah,
Yes.
because when DQ got his car stolen, they caught him because they saw the car and it tells the police right away this car is a stolen vehicle.
Yes, but so it wasn't reported stolen
Okay,
because the
yeah.
owner of the car is obviously
But it
he's
wasn't registered
crispy
under
now.
Richard's name.
No, but it wasn't registered under this guy's
Yeah.
name,
Yeah.
and the other car is wrapped around a tree. So, and he got a report that there was something a woman was being held against her will. So he
Is that the
has
report he got?
three.
That's what he
He got a
said?
report. Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's what he said. He got a report. That's what I'm assuming is that a woman was in danger, didn't look right. So he had three instant red flags, right? And he comes up to this man and he's asking him questions he can't answer.
Mhm.
And instantly, I'm thinking, arrest him, or at least like if this was in Philly or this was me, right? They would have made me get on the ground, put cuffs on my back,
Absolutely.
put me in a car, and then finish his investigation separately
Mhm.
without me, right? Because he went to go talk to the woman while Richard was still free, And when she said, help me, he still didn't attempt to arrest him or tell him to put his hands up or put him to the
He got
ground.
loud with him, but yeah, he didn't arrest him.
No, he
Yeah.
didn't even pull out his gun until after he saw the syringe. It was way too late. And then he got accosted and didn't have a chance to do anything.
That was hard to watch.
It was hard to
'Cause I'm
watch. It
like,
was
I felt
crazy.
bad for him when he first got hit. Like, imagine the shock. Like,
Yeah.
his face looked so shocked. Like, what do you do in that moment? You can't even process it. He just looked confused and helpless and terrified. I was like, "Oh, that's" he was just like, "Ah, I hated it." I was like, "That was hard to watch."
No, you're right. It was hard to watch. And then he just continued to beat him until he died. So now Richard killed two men back to back, and
Mhm.
he's
But one thing I think is hilarious but infuriating is that in every instance, Richard lies to people to make it seem like Iris is the problem and not him, like the audacity.
yeah. He said that she was drunk,
She's
and
mentally
that
ill. She's an alcoholic. And it's like, listen, I've been wasted, but never so drunk that I cannot move or speak while I'm conscious.
exactly
Like it may be a
right.
little
And
bit difficult to, but I that doesn't
yes,
happen.
and
Like
like because like she blames herself for the death of her son. Even with that, I was like, she is gonna kill this man, yo. Just lying on her son, saying that she crawled into a bottle and she can't cope, and she got so drunk she crashed. And then the policeman's like, okay, so if she crashed, how did she get with you in Will's truck
she
and
said
seen at the gas
if
station?
he was like, you weren't in the car, right, when she crashed. So how do you explain the bleeding and the bruises on
Yeah,
your
the
body?
bleeding, and then how did they see both of you together at that gas station? Like you're just blatantly lying, and
Default
that's
the
the fourth
truth.
red flag.
Yeah.
That's why you put the dude on the ground, you cuff him, and you figure out the truth later.
Do you know how heavy towing belts are? Because I'm like, how strong is Richard that he can whip around that towing belt like a game of helicopter, like a lasso?
Well, they I don't know how heavy they are, but they
Because
have
I'm
to
like,
be
they
pretty.
did damage to the cop's face, the hook of it.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
like,
they are.
how heavy is it?
Well, they're.
I guess the
I don't know.
force. I guess if you well enough, yeah,
They have to. It's not necessarily. It's the weight, but also how hard they have to be,
yeah,
because it's pulling a car.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
pulling a car, so they're pretty hefty.
Mm.
And I don't know. With adrenaline, it probably weighs no more than like 10, 15 pounds. But even if someone hits you with a 10-pound dumbbell, it's gonna crack your skull. It doesn't take that much.
Richard pulls the cop's dead body into his patrol car and sets it aflame before pulling off. He drives to a dock where a small rowboat is tied. Unbeknownst to Richard, Iris had taken the syringe during the chaos with the policeman earlier. Iris seizes her moment and plunges the syringe deep into Richard's thigh. Dreadfully, Iris still lacks the mobility to push the needle down and release the drug into his bloodstream. Richard smugly removes the syringe and squirts the drug out into his windshield. Richard grabs a cruel knife from the bed of Will's truck before dragging Iris toward the rowboat. My thing is, why didn't Richard give Iris more drugs? Because there's one point where he pulls over to pretty much tell her about why he started to kill people. And he can clearly see that the drug is wearing off. She could speak now. He
She's talking
pinched
to
her
him. Yep.
earlier and she gasped. Why
Hmm.
not? I know he was, like I said, he's fumbling the bag a lot because he has to improvise so much. But I'm like, he didn't think, let me drug her more.
I was wondering that maybe taking 2 doses of horse tranquilizer would kill her, and he
Oh,
didn't want to kill her that way.
okay.
I think he still had plans to rape her, you know,
Hmm.
and maybe he couldn't do that again, or maybe he has to wait a certain amount of time before he stabs her again.
Okay. That
But I
makes
was
sense.
surprised that out of spite he didn't just like stab her in the throat or something after
Yeah,
he
that
stabbed
I
her.
thought that too. I was like, he never laid a hand on her.
No, he didn't. Well,
Well, besides
he
tasing her.
obviously,
Yeah,
besides
besides
tasing
tasing her.
her and tying her up
Yeah,
and
he tased her, but you know what I mean? He
drugging
didn't he
her.
didn't beat her throughout.
No, he didn't beat her or nothing like that.
Which I thought was kind of strange. I did cuz I'm like when I hear real stories about people who get kidnapped, they're kind of beaten and raped. This is very sad. Maybe should I say it? No.
Say what you gotta say.
So, a lot of crimes is crimes of opportunity. It's all about timing. So, yeah, I think it is. I guess he was just cocky. He was like, he gets off with a long process. So he wanted to do that. But it's like, it's just, it's very Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
no, I get it.
like, it's like, okay, like trying to use the drugs, Irish trying to use the drugs on Richard was smart. But I'm like, the drug takes way too long to sink in. Like, I feel like Richard would have killed her immediately after she drugged him. Like, he still would be mobile enough to do so. What do you think?
No, I think he would still be mobile enough to do so,
Yeah. And it's like
but
she couldn't move still. So it's like, I get it, but that wasn't a good plan either.
yeah, it wasn't an instant thing. It would take at least 20 minutes, but at least he would be stuck too.
After
Even
20
if
minutes.
even but even if she would have died, he wouldn't have been okay either, and that might have been enough.
Okay.
That might have been enough to just say, "Hey, if I'm going down, you're going down with me."
Yeah. And also Mateo's toy boat, it did foreshadow the event because everything goes down on the rowboat.
Yeah. While in the boat, Richard has rowed far from the dock. Iris begs Richard to let her hold her son's toy one last time before he kills her. As he reaches to pull the toy from her pocket, Iris grabs the knife that he stored in his belt and drives it through his jaw. Richard struggles to keep his footing as he pulls the knife from his face and the policeman's stolen gun from his belt, but he is disoriented, and Iris is able to use her body weight to rock the boat and then send Richard tumbling out, dropping his gun in the boat. Iris reaches for the gun, and as Richard painstakingly pulls himself back on board, she shoots him multiple times. He falls back in the water and begins swimming to shore.
Iris is relieved, but only for a moment when she realizes that the gunshots has pierced the boat and it is sinking. She goes under, and all hope of her survival seems lost until she emerges moments later and swims to shore. Iris sees Richard, who is lying close to death on the shore. She taunts him, and the movie closes.
This is another example of a woman fighting for her life with everything she has. And I was so pleased the way that she was able to survive and stab him in the jaw
You were
and
pleased, I was
find the
confused.
weapon. Why were you confused?
Okay, so how was she drowning in such shallow water on a rowboat because she literally couldn't even sit up, but is able to swim to shore moments later?
I was wondering that too.
She even
What I
walks later.
think,
Like, I don't know how long she waited before going to Richard, but the rules of this drugs don't make sense. It seems very convenient. And I understand. I understand that drugs sometimes the effects are different, but it's like you literally weren't able to sit up. You were drowning in very shallow water, but you could
I,
swim to shore.
I think what she decided was to allow the boat to sink and herself to float out of the boat. And I think what she ended up doing was floating until she got more movement. Because you remember she was doing
Okay.
the finger touching to get her mobility, to see, like, to test her mobility. And where she was touching each finger to her thumb to see how much mobility she had, dexterity. And I think eventually she was able to swim herself back to shore.
Eventually,
And
but she was underwater. So you think she, because we saw when she resurfaced. So
yeah,
she couldn't have been floating because we literally saw when she resurfaced.
I don't know that. Me and Eileen was watching. And was like, yo, that's smart. She just could let the boat sink. She could hold her breath, inflate her lungs with air,
Oh,
and float back to the surface.
but she didn't
And
float back
then
to the surface. She called it emerge back to. Oh, okay. I'm thinking like floating on your back. You mean just let the water make you rise and then, but
I think she floated on her back, and then
but she couldn't
eventually,
float on her
I
back
think,
under. She didn't float on her back because we saw her emerge from the water. She emerged like she
well,
was.
she had. So what I think is that she floated on her back initially, and then when she had strength, she
She
swam.
floated down her
And
back on the descents. You mean?
no, I mean she let the boat sink. I think she floated up on her back, was able to catch her breath, and then I think she swam. And the scene that we
But we
saw
saw
was
her
her.
emerge. So when is she
I
floating?
know, but I'm saying eventually that's a separate. Like she gets up and then she starts swimming, and then we see her emerge on the shore. So I think they just
No,
did
we
that for.
didn't. What are you talking about? I'm so confused.
I'm saying I don't think that she could have swam 100% underwater from like 50 or 100 yards out and pop up on the other side. I'm
So
saying
you
most
think
likely
after
she.
she emerged, she floated a
ap-
little bit and then swam more?
Yes, and then we saw her just do one final, like, get herself out.
Okay, I guess
That's
I'm
what I think
just
what happened.
confused about when she found the strength to emerge. Or she just let
I
her
don't know.
body slowly rise and then use her strength to push herself up.
I don't know. That was my guess. My guess was she floated. She floated to shore, and then when she got close enough, she started swimming. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because you're right. She couldn't, like you said, from not being able to do half a sit up to swimming 100 yards back to the boat underwater, holding her breath. It doesn't make sense. Only thing that makes sense is that she floated like she did down the river earlier. She floated as close to the shore as she can, and then finished swimming, and that's where we see her emerging under the water. Is when she was swimming.
You give this you listen, you made very logical excuses for this movie, but I don't think they thought it through. I think you thought it through, but I don't know if you did. Everything seems logical, and it's like, yeah, but I don't know if they were saying it like that. But
Yeah, I was wondering how she was able to get the knife from his back, because if she had both hands tied, and think about how hard it is for you to reach your hands around
I
someone's
literally did the
back.
movement when I was watching this movie. I was like, let me really see how's that work. Cause I'm like, okay, so he came around to what, her left shoulder
Yeah,
and
and
got
she
it.
reached her
She
both hands
she
around.
reached to his left side and then
Yes,
stabbed him in the right side of his jaw.
yes. I can see someone doing that with one hand, but
It's
not
kind of,
both.
yeah, it's hard to get that much force when both of your hands are tied together.
Yes. Yes. Even just the quickness, like mm,
Yeah.
it just that's why I didn't seem believable. When he got stabbed, I was like, oh crap, how'd she even get the knife? But she's been a survivor this whole time, so I just let it rock.
Why didn't she finish him off?
She thought she did. What
When
do you
she
mean
went
when
to the
she?
shore, why didn't she kill him when he was on the shore? At least spit on him. Do something. She just said thank you and being petty. Kill him.
Yeah.
Why don't y'all kill him? Kill him.
Well,
Kill him.
he was obviously bleeding out,
I
and she
don't
saw that he
care.
was bleeding out.
I do not care. I don't
But no,
trust
you're
him.
right. I would have.
This man went through hell and earth to find me and kill me. I am killing
Yeah.
you as soon as I get the chance. The only way I feel safe is if you no longer exist on this planet, and I need to see to it that you don't. How is
No,
she
you're
so
right.
poised? How is she have she just made it seem, oh, I'm so above you. Thank you. I was literally fighting you for an hour and a half. I'm killing you.
I've been fighting you for the past 6 hours or whatever this whole thing was.
Right.
I
I don't
guess it's kind
understand
of
the
hard to
time. Because
figure out.
apparently he said
Neither
it
do
wears
I.
off in an hour, but this whole thing seems so much longer than an hour.
You're right. This is a whole longer. You're right. I have no idea how long this ordeal is.
Hmm.
I wonder if her husband even realized she's
Yeah,
gone. He
we
probably
never
still
heard from
asleep.
his husband. We never saw her husband's face.
He
I'm
probably
not saying
still
we
said
needed to, but he was a non-factor.
no, he just sleep on it. He's still in bed. He's like, "Hey, babe, you gonna make some coffee?"
She come
And he's
back
like,
in. How was
"Wait."
your day, babe? Good. Goes back to sleep.
That's exactly what she's like.
Hmm.
That's exactly what she could be like. Why do you think she said thank you?
Because he gave this whole speech about how when he first realized he was a killer, and then when his girlfriend died in a car crash, and then he saw her with her neck all broken, and he thanked her because it's like, oh, I've been trying to fit in, and you made me realize that I like seeing people dead and I want to kill people. I killed you in a car crash accidentally, but this is the itch I was looking to scratch and I didn't know how. And now I know I need to kill women. And me accidentally killing you in a car accident let me know that. So thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's psychotic for that. I thought she said thank you because it showed her how much she wants to live.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So that's what she got the phrase thank you from his story. So she used it against
Yes.
him. Like, I would never think that, like, what? But I get it. But I'm like, it just seems so weird to be so calm and so have a one liner. I know it's a movie. It is a movie. So whatever. But I'm just like, I will be beat. I will kill you. I wouldn't
No,
have
you're
no.
right. She should have grabbed the rock. If she would have grabbed a big rock, walked above his head and say thank you, and then just boom, just like smashed him like over and over and over and over and over again, then
You are not
I
safe
think that would
until
have
you are
been a good
sure that
line.
this man is dead.
I agree. I agree because even if he looked like he's bleeding out, he's obviously. I thought he was dead when he got shot in the water.
Because my thing is, even if the cops come and be like, okay, he was on the shore when you killed him. He's been trying to kill me for 2 hours. For
Yeah,
2 hours. He got into a car crash, still try to kill me. He went into a burning building to still try to kill me. I am killing him, whether he's immediate threat or not.
yeah, I agree.
Maybe that's not
I
good
agree.
defense. I'm no lawyer, but what would you rate
So,
Don't Move?
so I ranked it a large bag of popcorn
Wow.
because it was a thriller through and through for me. Not going completely into it, not watching any reviews, any trailers, not really understanding what the movie was about, just a girl laying in grass. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I felt so bad for Iris. One, because she had the world taken from her by the loss of her son. And she was so defeated that she no longer wanted to be a part of this world. And just for her to be victimized, or at least attempt to be victimized by a super predator, was disgusting. But it was satisfying that she survived it and she made sure assumingly, she made sure that he wouldn't do that to anyone else again, right? I thought it was fun from beginning to end. I thought that it wasn't really predictable. I didn't know what he was going to do or how he was going to do it. So yeah, I'll give it a large bag of popcorn.
I'll give it a small.
A small.
I'll give it a small. That the camera work really that was unacceptable in my mind.
I didn't notice that.
Um, I just I understand he's a master manipulator, but like I said, sometimes it's like, come on, y'all. Like, I don't know. And like I said, it may be because I did just watch The Woman of the Hour, but I wasn't really impressed by the film that much. It wasn't a bad movie. If people say let's watch it, I wouldn't have watched it again, but I would tell people to watch it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I give it a small just because I don't know, it was okay. It was all right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it was better than most Netflix movies. Some Netflix movies are hit or miss. Some is like watchable. I
Some are garbage,
am
like The
confident.
Deliverance.
Yeah, some are garbage like Deliverance. But no, I'm confident to tell people to watch it now. It's a good movie. Like I said, it's from my standpoint, a good movie is a movie where I feel entertained and the questions to the plot. I guess I didn't find any real plot holes. I found some logistic holes
We
for
found some
simple
plot
things.
holes. The whole
Well, that's
drug
not.
being very convenient.
I guess that's a plot. That's a.
Like I said,
I don't
yeah,
know.
there's a many things to trash about this movie. It's just for me, like I said, some of the camera work was like, what? Like, the iMovie effects and
Yeah.
it just wasn't bad, but it wasn't something I would watch again.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Now I could dig that.
Yeah.
I could dig that. So thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can find our podcast at Instagram at Watch That John. You can also follow us on YouTube at the Watch That John podcast. And you can listen to our podcast anywhere you listen to your shows, either on Spotify or Apple Podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and
Happy
happy
Halloween.
Halloween.